And welcome aboard Cap Air. This is episode number 6, and so I made some changes to the mod. What I did was I closed all the airports that we're not going to currently be servicing, and I reloaded the passengers so that I have essentially the quantity for the area that I want. This is just going to make it work a little bit more realistically. The mod's kind of set up that you can use boats and everything else, and so by doing it this way, I kind of set them up where I want to go. All right, so there we go. Let's go ahead and... So I'm pretty much have Arctic Hub and Multi-Hub loaded up now, so I'm going to kind of do that. I'm going to kind of set up the airports I want to go to, leave those open, close the other ones. We'll kind of consider that lease fees. So let's load up the 40 for Multi-Hub. All right, so we are full. One passenger couldn't come in. Let's go bleed on the APU starter, and we'll pick up our clearance here. JakaPlayz 672, we're ready to pick up our clearance to Multi-Hub. JakaPlayz 672, you're cleared. Runway heading up to 5,000 feet. Upon reaching 1,000 feet, you can head direct to Shipbreaker. Then to Harrison, expect vectors for the runway 4 at Multi-Hub. All right, runway heading up to 5,000. 1,000 direct to Shipbreaker, direct Harrison, and then vectors for the runway 4 into Multi-Hub. Copy that. JakaPlayz 672 reback is correct, and expect flight level 300 and 10. And do you have information, Charlie? 300 and 10 minutes, and we have information, Charlie. All right, rolling on 2. Generator 1's coming on. Watch the N2. There we go, 2's coming up. Generator on 2's coming on. Hydraulics A and B are on. Bleeds off on the APU. APU is off. JakaPlayz 672, we're ready to taxi. We have information, Charlie. JakaPlayz 672, you can taxi straight ahead and hold short of 14. Straight ahead, hold short of 14, JakaPlayz 672. Alright, so that Shipbreaker in there. We're going to select radio. And that will switch us to Shipbreaker. JakaPlayz 672, you can contact me on 20.7 when you're ready for takeoff. Copy 20.7. Let me shut my door. Nice to be back in the jet. Text checklist. Flaps are set. Lights are set. Text checklist. Before takeoff checklist. Actually, we'll hold on that until we get clear for takeoff. JakaPlayz 672, we're ready for takeoff. JakaPlayz 672, you're clear for takeoff. Runway heading 5,000, 1,000, you turn direct Shipbreaker. Clear for takeoff. Runway heading up to 5,000, 1,000, we'll turn right to Shipbreaker. JakaPlayz 672. Takeoff checklist. Flap set. Lights set. Takeoff checklist complete. Set thrust. Thrust set. 80 knots. V1. Rotate. Positive rate. Gear up. Autopilot's coming on. I'm gonna fix the weather here. We've been doing a lot of fog lately, so I'm gonna just get rid of the fog. Override day. Give us a nice sunshiny day here for takeoff. Been doing a lot of IMC, a lot of night, so it'd be nice to get some a little bit different conditions going on here. All right, coming on 1,000 here. Let's go ahead. Radio selected, nav is selected, and here comes 1,000. Turn right, Shipbreaker. JakaPlayz 672, you can contact departure on 128.6. 128.6, thanks. JakaPlayz 672, we are 1,003 for 5. Turning right, Shipbreaker. JakaPlayz 672, you can climb maintain 10,000 feet. 10,000. JakaPlayz 672. So a little bit of interesting information. Let me do a climb checklist here. Oh, come on. Climb checklist. Let's do flaps up too. Gears up, flaps are up, lights are set, climb checklist complete. So one little bit of trivia for, there's something called sterile cockpit where under 10,000 feet you don't do any unnecessary communication. So you don't talk about, you know, kids or what you're doing this weekend or any of that stuff. You only talk about pertinent stuff to the flight. So you don't go, you know, shooting the breeze about this and that. You talk about just what you're supposed to be talking about, 10,000. All right, so we're gonna transfer to heading, so 199, let's put 199 in there, 199. Transfer to heading, and then I can't pick up Harrison, we're too far away. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a GPS coordinate in there until we can pick it up. All right, and we'll stick that in. All right, and let's switch over to GPS, radio, and we'll go to JakaPlayz 672. You can head direct to Harrison, direct to Harrison, JakaPlayz 672. So yeah, you don't talk about anything that's not pertinent to the flight under 10,000 feet, and that's because those are your most critical phases of flight. You know, just after takeoff and just before landing. So, you know, and you're on a cockpit voice recorder. So if there was an accident, you would, you know, be there for all to see. You guys essentially breaking the rules. So, and JakaPlayz 672, you can go ahead and climb, maintain flight level 200. Flight level 200, JakaPlayz 672. 200. And you repeat the altitudes. I've talked about that before. Is, you know, as one person spin, you have pilot flying, pilot not flying. So the captain doesn't always fly, the FO doesn't always fly. You generally alternate legs. So captain will fly one leg, usually the next leg. The FO flies back and forth, and so you have different duties: pilot flying, pilot not flying. A bunch of different responsibilities. So the pilot not flying handles the radios. If the pilot flying is hand flying, doesn't have the autopilot on, the pilot not flying also spins the mode control panel, spins all the autopilot stuff. So they'll move altitudes and stuff because the pilot flying has the hands on the controls. Once the autopilot's on, the pilot flying will then spin their own dials. The pilot not flying does all the radios. So I used to like hand flying some of the shorter flights like New York to Boston, but you know, you put a lot more work on the other pilot if you're hand flying. So I'd usually ask, do you mind if I hand fly it up to New York? And they didn't, you know, nobody ever cared. It was, all they had to do was spin labels. All right, so we're through 10,000, we're through the sterile cockpit. And we are direct to Harrison now at this point. And we're through 10,000, so the speed limit under 10 is 250 knots, so once we go over 10, we can accelerate. So that's one of the reasons you do a climb profile like you do. You climb at certain rates to try to get up into the thin air where you have, you know, less air resistance. That's where jets thrive, is up at high altitude. Jets want to be high. And so even for short flights, you'll climb all the way up to, say, 30,000 feet and then come immediately right down. You'll hit 30, come right back down because you want to get up in that thin air. That's where jets are best operated. All right, so 290 knots now. So I really, I made this jet a lot more efficient. I put in 2 turbines. So we used to have our thrust used to go up to 60 RPS. It now goes up to 35. So that's big fuel savings. So we save a lot of fuel now. It's considerable. And so that really helps us be much more economical. You know, even with that, you see how quickly, that's pounds. So it's about 2 pounds per liter. So every tick is half a liter essentially. Yeah, JakaPlayz 672, you can go ahead and climb, maintain flight level 300. 300, JakaPlayz 672. 300. And so jets want to get up high, they want to go fast. That's how you make money with a jet, high and fast. Now in game we don't get the benefits of reduced drag at altitude, I don't believe. That would be cool, but we don't, so. Plus, the distances are painfully short again. Like I've said many a time in Stormworks, it'd be nice if they just increase them. So, what I did with the mod was, like I said, I shut all the bases here. And so the reason was, you know, you get a bunch of bases here, and then, you know, I don't mind, running the bus was kind of fun a little bit, but, you know, I want to focus, you know, like in real life, the people make their own way to the airport, and the flights are made. And so, especially for this type of operation, you know, that puts all the people, so the only people that can be spawned are going to where I want to go. And then because I set the number of passengers I wanted, as you can see, we have a full boat going to Arctic Hub coming back. And so I'll just keep reloading the passengers, and then this allows me to go where I want to go and have full flights, because you don't, you know, they wouldn't schedule the flights if they couldn't be profitable. You know, once you start having a, you know, unprofitable flights, start to cancel them off. Alright, so that's our final altitude. So that's generally how they do it too. They tell you initial altitudes, like 5,000 feet, and then they tell you what to expect in 10 minutes. That's usually your final altitude. And if they're going to change it on you, they might have changed it for traffic. Say, you know, you want 1,000-foot separation between aircraft. And so, you know, let's say we filed for flight level 300, and then there's another jet that's behind us that's a little bit faster, and they filed for 300. Well, they might either have them climb up to 310 or 290 and to go past us, or they might have us change, depending. You know, if they have a couple fast jets behind us, they might have us stay lower. Usually they'd ask you. There you go. JakaPlayz 672. Do you want to climb? You want to go to 310 or 290, and you pick one. I generally always went higher. I'd rather go higher and have the extra 1,000 feet. Especially in a jet, you know, your glide distance increases. I always like to have the extra glide distance. It doesn't really cost anything to go up, really. And so going up an extra 1,000 feet is worth it for the extra glide distance. All right, so we're in the jet, so I'm not going to be doing as much, you know, as much time lapse in here. Probably do a little bit, but the you know, the turboprop's much slower. Turboprop I made to be ultra efficient. The turboprop is a moneymaker. It's very low cost to operate, and so that's kind of its job, and it does that job well. The jet's job is to be fast, and so the turboprop in high efficiency mode will do 120. With its props, with not very efficient mode, it's still pretty damn efficient. It goes about 180, 190. It will push 200 around there, and so that's kind of nice with the propellers. I can kind of vary that speed range nicely. Jet, you pretty much want to go balls to the wall the whole time, and balls to the wall means on the throttles. You know, in this case, we only have a couple thrust levers, but you know, you used to have thrust levers, props, and mixtures on old-time propeller aircraft, and so they had different. They had different colored balls on the top, and so generally it would be black for throttles, blue for props, and red for mixtures. That was kind of standardized later. You had them all over the place before that. But balls to the wall means the wall is your firewall. So, you know, it's called the firewall because often when the propeller was right in front of you, they put a wall there that would help to prevent fire from, if the engine caught on fire, to getting in the cockpit where it would burn you. And so your balls to wall meant the balls on top of the throttles, props, and mixtures, you push them all the way forward to the firewall. So that's balls to the wall. So when when somebody says, oh, he was going balls to the wall, that means he's going his max speed. So if you have a sprinter, and he was sprinting really fast, oh, he's going balls to the wall, meaning that he's got his thrust all the way up to the firewall. He's going as fast as he can. So that's what that expression, where that expression comes from. I just need to re-index this N2 gauge. That's supposed to be off of this, so I change this up. Just kind of looking around the cockpit here. All right, so again, keep it kind of, you know, the differences between the jet and the turboprop. It was taking me like 25, 30 minutes to get down there in the turboprop. If we look right now, so this is where my waypoint is here at Harrison. So what we're going to do here is we went direct to Shipbreaker and then Harrison, and we're going to expect vectors for, so vectors are ATC turns, so they give us turns to get on there. And so right here is the, right here is going to be the final approach course for runway 4. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to put a waypoint there. That's my final approach course, and so that will be my next turn after that. So what I'll do here is currently we're 163. I'm going to put 163 in here. You always want to back it up with heading. And so we're actually going to switch over to heading right now. And I'm going to go from GPS to radio, and I need to look up Harrison's frequency. So I have that written down. Harrison's 500. So that's very convenient there. And Harrison's in 500. And so right now that's 24 miles away. So that is not accurate. Until we get within 21 and change, we won't have accuracy there. It's because there's a huge antenna at Harrison, and there's a huge antenna on the jet. That gives us 40 kilometers, which about half of that is about 21 nautical miles. So we have a range of our radio of that long. So once we get, you know, another mile or so. But as you can see, we really can't see it now, but it will flip over in a minute. You know, we're mere minutes away from there. You see, we're already about halfway down from the Arctic. All right, we're at flight level 300. We're going 297 knots. That's pretty realistic. You know, the Embraer 145, which I flew most of my flight time is in, we can do 320. 320 indicated. So, you know, in real life, your ground speed would be higher because the air density is lower. So as the air density gets lower, the thing that calculates your airspeed is a pitot tube. So you have a tube, and you'll see them often on airplanes. It looks like a tube. It has a little hole in it. And so air actually blows in that tube. So you think about it, if you blew in that tube like a kazoo, and let's say you were blowing 20 mile an hour, 20 knot wind into that kazoo, it would measure that it's 20. And so what it's doing is it's taking the air and it's going in there, it's comparing it to static air that's not moving static, so it has a static port, you see them on the side, it's like a little, about the size of a you know, dollar coin with a hole in it. Let's see, we're 4 minutes out, let's start descending here. So I need to get a descent going here. We're about 4 minutes out, we're at 30,000 feet. So it's kind of expected. I'm going to slow us up as well. Always have to be cognizant of that. I picked up some extra altitude too on this one, so we do have a long way to go here. So, you know, we're 19 nautical miles. We're about 4 minutes here. As I slow down, that will add some time. So right there, so we can expect we're going to do. So that's about 8,000. And then, so we'll get down there. I'll descend us I'll slow us down even more. You know, generally we would have started a descent a little earlier, but, you know, game distances, like I've said many a times, are so short that I just don't get to ever really get up to altitude and up to speed, so I kind of do extreme climbs and descents. So anyway, so you have it's like the size of a dollar coin with a hole in it, and so that's static air, so that's seeing what the static air pressure is. So if you're comparing how fast the air is blowing in the pitot tube compared to the static air that's not moving, or it's moving, but, you know, because it's coming off the side, it's not actually sensing any movement. And so when you're down low, the air is very dense. And so that dense air, you know, moves your indicated airspeed, you know, shows your indicated airspeed at a certain rate. So if you're down at, say, 2,000 feet and you're going 320 knots indicated, your ground speed's probably pretty close to 320 knots. When you're up at altitude, the air is very thin. And so you still have air blowing in that pitot tube, but the air is much thinner, so it's reading lower. So you are still showing 320 knots indicated airspeed, but your ground speed could be 600 miles an hour. So it could be double. And so what the airplane feels, the density of the air. So say that you have an antenna on the plane that has been tested that will break off at 350 knots. So they set a max speed of 320 knots so that antenna doesn't break off. Well, even though you're going 600 knots across the ground because you're up the air is less dense up at 30,000 feet, that antenna still is not reaching its breaking point. So, and just a little thing on indicator airspeed versus ground speed. So ground speed essentially is telling you what, how quickly you're actually going to get there. Now, it would be cool, again, if they added air density changes, but, essentially they just cut the drag down. But the issue would be, again, the distances are so short. Like, if I could go from here to, say, 300 miles down to here, yeah, that would make sense to go 600 knots, but it just doesn't make sense to go 600 knots, in this game. 300 knots, I'm already having, I've got to slow down at 207. You wouldn't do that. You keep your speed up to 300 until you get down to 10,000. Right before 10,000, you would slow down to 250. But I'm slowing down to 200 knots, at 22,000 feet because I'm eating up too much, eating my distance up too quickly. So I'm actually going to cut this back even more. Let's cut that right there. That will help me. So I'm going to come here, go to this final approach fix, join the course, go in. So we're on a heading now anyway. As you can see, 163, 163. We're on a heading hold. We have the radio in there. Once we pass Harrison, which as you can see, I'm skeptical that's only 3 miles away, 3 minutes away. Let's see, 12 miles, we're doing better than 3. Yeah, that's right. It's just tough to sense how fast we're going on the map here. But, it's 11 miles, we're going better than 3 miles a minute, about 3 1/3 miles a minute. So that's about 3.4, sounds right. All right, let's look at our fuel. So we burned about 3,000 pounds per side. So this new efficiency is much better. So right now we're only at 14 RPS per side. So we're actually run pretty efficiently there, as you can see. So definitely making this jet more efficient really brings in our profitability. So we have a full boat. So let me bring up my chart. I can bore you with my numbers. So here's my numbers. And so here we do 2 mediums is the one I use now, the blue line. And so we bought fuel from, well, that was really Tajin. But I pre-bought that. That was a gift to get the series started. So, really, we'd have to make $4,300 per seat. We're not doing that. But let's say we bought it from airport. We're making about, I think it was $1,200, let's say $1,100 to $1,200 per seat. As you can see, so all that's gravy on top of that 809. And that, again, this is from FJ Warner, so this is even further south than this, but actually we're coming in on approach. We're coming down all the way almost to FJ Warner and then making a turn. So it's costing us about $809 per seat to do this flight. And so we're going to be making a profit of about, let's say, $300 per seat. So it's that 9,000. So we'll make 9,000 on this trip. So good money, not uber wealthy money, and that's what I want. I want this to be realistic. Everybody and their brother wants to make $1 million each run. Well, what do you do next? Why do more like this? I built the turboprop because the jet wasn't profitable enough for me yet. I needed to be able to do smaller routes. So it gave me an incentive to do something else. All right, we're about 2 minutes out from Harrison. We're doing well on our descent here. We're about 7 minutes from being down to, or a little less than that, six and change to get down to 1,000 feet, which we want to be about 1,000 feet here. So we're actually doing all right. Let's go ahead. I'm going to move that back there. So yeah, like I said, we're only about 6 minutes there, so I expect the next for the 5 for next. Let's see how the peeps are doing. Maybe we'll do a little drink service while I'm here. So we have our galley up front. Flight 10 jump seat. Look at all these lovely people here. And I put in a cart. So this is my little aisle cart. Whoa, what are you doing? Did I pick somebody up? I did. I didn't know I could pick you guys up. Oh, I can't put her back now. Ugh. Did not mean to pick this person up. I meant to go in the lab for a moment. I did not mean to pick that person up, so hopefully that doesn't cause me huge issues. Stay in the aisle there, excuse me. Thank you. Alright, I'm done doing drink service. I'm just making a mess of this drink service here. Wowza. Please don't clip out of the vehicle. So, you know, despite all the issues with the game, okay, we're through 10,000, back to sterile cockpit. I'll ignore that for now. Despite all the issues the game can have and people's complaints, there are many games that have enormous budgets and, you know, tons and tons of devs. One game that I try to be pretty positive with this game, but one game that I do let my negativity come out on is Star Citizen. And, you know, to put it into perspective, like, I'm able to walk around this every once in a while, especially multiplayer. You'll clip through the side and end up, you know, in the, you know, out of the vehicle. But this game's pretty damn good at keeping you in the vehicle. Like, I was able to walk up and down the aisle. We're doing 200 knots. So my character, all those people are moving at 200 knots, and I was able to walk up and down the aisle. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty damn good. You know, you have a game like Star Citizen has, you know, an incredible amount of money, and they, you know, that was one of the things that used to happen all the time, was you end up falling through the wall of the craft. All right, so we're about 0.6 out. We're 2 nautical miles. You know, it's not necessarily a jet thing. At high speeds, and jets tend to do everything at high speeds, you really have to plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead. You always have to keep, you know, when am I descending? What speed should I be going? And you have to do these calculations very quick in your head, and you start getting really good at it. Let me just double check the freak for 800 for multi-hub. What's that on? All right, 800 for multi-hub, so let's put that in. So that's our next one, 800, okay. All right, so that's gonna be the radio for multi-hub. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go GPS, radio. Then I'm gonna hit heading hold. We're gonna turn to the final approach the final approach fix. The final approach fix is an actual waypoint on the map. At JakaPlayz 672, you can turn left to Gippy. You know, that's how they name the different points. And so we'll say Gippy is the final approach fix. Probably a good, nice view here over over the main islands. Am I turning right? Am I turning correctly? I don't think I put the right one in. I didn't. Crap. Okay. I still had the Harrison waypoint in there. I never put in the new one, so it was, that's why it was doing like a hold over Harrison. So it will make a right turn and come over. Chop my course in a little bit. But anyway, we'll call that Gippy. And we're doing well on our descent. We're at 4,400 feet. I'm going to speed back up. So you're constantly having to do these calculations, and so you're having to think, okay, well, we're not going to be able to ascend fast enough, so we need to slow down. Okay, we're good. You know, if we want to maintain 300 knots till 250, and then 250 below that, we have to descend by this point. So that kind of tells you when to do it. And then they're also on the charts, it will tell you when. So we're accelerating, and one of the reasons I'm accelerating is I have plenty of space to descend. But I want to get over this mountain range, so we're plenty clear of all these mountains, but I'm just doing it, so. Nice, beautiful vistas here. I'll bother you with a screenshot of beautiful vistas. And one thing I recommend people is you can really dial in the contrast sometimes and get looking much better. A little bit washed out and bright, but Alright, so we cleared the mountains. Here we come. You see, we're going in a valley there. That's one thing I was checking on. So we're going to that point. So now let's look at our heading 142. Showing 146 is where we want to be. See, 146. So let's put that in there, 146. We'll back it up with heading, and then we'll actually switch over to heading. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to switch to my radio. And my radio is showing my final approach course. Remember, that's runway 4 going in there. So because that's runway 4, we're waiting for this number to drop to, this should drop to 40. So runway 4 is a heading of 040. You notice that's dropped 2 degrees already. All right. And so as we get close to this, he's going to give me a 45-degree angle. I want to get closer, 45. So all we have to do is, it's going to be 40, the final approach course, plus 45, so that'll be 85 will be our expected heading. So we're currently heading 146, and a little bit here, I'll give myself a heading to 85. So probably here, I'll go 85 as we turn, then we can join the course, the 040 course, inbound. Descent checklist? Yeah, we're all set. Okay. And he'll contact us in a second here. We're level at 1,000. We're coming in. So I'm kind of watching this. As you can see, this has dropped down. We're at 72, so we're 30 degrees off of the course now. So I'm kind of trying to time this. I'm going to start bringing it in slowly. So let's go ahead to a 100 heading. So that's cutting 40 degrees off of this, because right now we're at a little bit better than a 90-degree intercept angle. Again, I want to be at 45 at most. And so what that's going to do is that's going to slow this number down. That's going to change much slower now. It might even go up for a little bit here as I turn. But it's definitely going to slow the rate of change on that. All right, so as you can see, we're cutting in. Let's cut into 8.5. All right, so here comes our 45-degree intercept angle. Cap flight 672, you can go ahead and turn 085. 085, cap flight 672. There is the refiner island, which it pretty much cuts just south of the refiner island to kind of give you a visual representation of that. Again, we're waiting for that to go to 40. So I'm going to cut it in again. Let's go to 60. We'll do a 20-degree in there now. All right, let's start slowing up. Slowing down, rather. Gear down. Flaps 1. Flaps 2. Flaps 3. Flaps 4. We only go to flaps 4. I need to change that index on the gauge. So you can see it's 55, so we're only 15 degrees off course. We have a pretty slight intercept in there. That's going to do that. That's, you know, issues. So you see, okay, so there's one thing I want to show you guys. No. There's one thing I want to show you guys. So look at the angle of attack of this. This is what a real angle of attack of a jet should look like when the flaps are down. All right, this is your deck angle. This is why we don't flare on a jet. We're already flared. And if you draw a line from the tail to the wheels, you don't have much tail clearance. So you only have about, you know, maybe sometimes 12 inches of tail clearance before you hit your tail on the ground. You don't want to do a flare in a jet. You just fly it down. It's pre-flared. You don't need to flare at all. You fly them differently than you do, say, a little Cessna. All right, so you see it's still descending. So there's 54. And so you see we're paralleling the course pretty well. We have a little bit of an intercept angle in there. Let's descend down to 5. I have to check it, but I think it's close to that. Let me see what it is. Multi-hub has a field elevation of 48, so 548. So 548. I need to check my airspeed. Okay, we're good. So notice that dropped another degree. Checking my course here. So you see we're still a little bit north of the course. We're coming in. You know, we're definitely cutting in compared to where we'd be in real life. JakaPlayz 672, clear the approach and go ahead and contact tower on 20.7. Thanks. JakaPlayz 672, we're inbound runway 4. JakaPlayz 672, you're clear to land runway 4. Clear to land runway 4, JakaPlayz 672. Lane checklist, gears down, flaps are down, lights are set, lane checklist complete. Thank you. Slow down to approach speed, I don't need to cut in anymore. So you see this still dropping, 51. We're going to keep dropping here, so I'm down off my final approach speed here, right at the bottom of the green arc, about 320-ish is about as low as I really want to get. In this jet, I can get a little bit slower, but that's going to be where we're at. In real life, you do it via your weight, how much you weigh. That's one of our islands. So those are our 2 islands. There's Creative, there's Airport. There's 50, we're 10 degrees off, so as you can see, we're coming in. Still a little bit north of the course. I don't have much of an intercept angle in there. I have very little intercept angle in there, but a 20-degree intercept. So that's not a big deal, but... All right, 49. As you see, we're getting closer and closer to it being on the money. I can see it there. Airport's in sight. So I'll call airport in sight when I see the airport, which it's right there. And then when I actually see the runway, I can call runway in sight, and that indicates that my intention to land. So we're all set to go. We're clear to land here. See, this is still dropping. As you can see, I'm starting to come up. I'm looking for the runway. So I did a curve in. I kind of curved in like this instead of doing kind of a intercept grab. But again, I can't really see it as well as I could in real life. 47 right there. So I'm just kind of watching this here. 46. The closer we get, the faster this should come in. And the shack isn't exactly on the runway either. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take off heading hold. That will turn me right to the shack. And so I think it put me a little south of the airport, but a little south of the runway. But this should line us back up as we turn. All right, so I expect I'm going to need a bunch of trim. All right, so you saw our angle, right? So our angle, the autopilot's holding all that trim in there. It would auto trim. Okay, perfect. Runway's right in front of us. Perfect. So I don't know if you can see this. I'll go in third person. But see the runway? Straight ahead. Runway's in sight. Autopilot's coming off. All right, so now, I pre-trimmed us before I took the autopilot off. Runway's in sight, landing. All right, so I'm visually using my aiming bars to come in. I'm just going to do a quick save here. Okay, that's in case something happens, game crashes, glitch, something happens, I can just come back. Try not to over control, but I can't see as well as I'd like. A little bit hazy. A little bit high correcting. So we're a little bit high. I'm just correcting down. So I put this ball here just below the runway. So those 2 aiming bars, those 2 big squares, if I put them below the squares, I'll start coming down on my, so I increase my sync rate. I go there. As I pick my nose up, I'm going to have to look at my thrust, which I'm not changing my thrust because I was going about 123. Then I put my nose down, I'm going 126. When I put my nose back up, I should get back to 123. Here we go, back to the aiming bars. So that ball goes right in the aiming bars. Again, we fly a jet right to the ground. Remember, we're pre-flared. No flare. Power comes off. And we're touchdown. Like a glove. Okay? Thrust reversers engaged. Whoa, 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 whoa. Crap, I bit one of the thrust reversers. Open up, the gear collapsed. Arrgh. What happened? What happened? Gear collapse, maybe? Okay, so let's reload that. That's kind of annoying. That's why I just did that save. So the gear was crying at me the whole time. I don't know why the gear is so screwed up. It's a game issue. It has a hard point. It should be locking. I don't know why it's not. I have to fix it again. It's constantly an issue. It's like it's interacting with my player character sitting in the seat. It's not even that close, so Alright, so here we are. And the engine's louder because it's not reading that I have a headset on there. Alright, so I'm gonna... Alright, so remember, ball's coming below the aiming bars to get us down. Now that looks like a 3-degree glide slope to me. So now it looks locked. Alright, so now as you see I put the ball back... Oh, sorry about yelling there. Put the ball back right on the aiming bars. That's where we should end up. It's right there. So that's going back on the aiming bars. Again, no flare. Don't need the flare, just need to take the power off. Alright, it looks like our nose is way down, our nose is up. Our tail is down. There we go. And we're slow enough, I don't need to kick on the thrust reverser anyway. Yeah, JakaPlayz 672, you turn left and text the ramp with me. Turn left, text the ramp with you. So in real life, we wait about a minute to shut down number 2. And then you just do it. So the FO, because the flaps are right next to the FO, the FO would put the flaps up. And I shut down 2. We can taxi in on 1 engine. We can hear that engine spooling down, that turbine spooling down. And we're going to turn on the APU. Lights are coming. And I just need my beacon because it's day. If it was night, I'd run with navs too, but it is not, so I won't. So that was just a little hokey physics issue with the gear. You can see it was running in transit the whole time. When I reloaded the save, it instantly locked it. So that's just a little game glitch, so we won't complain about that too much. Alright, we have a marshaller straight ahead. Marshaller's waving us in how they want us. Tap the brakes, set the parking brake, and instantly shut off number 1. APU's already on, so it's already given us our power. So we can shut down our gens, shut off our hydraulics. I didn't put on windshield heat. I should have, but I didn't. And beacon can shut off. So, nice little flight in here. Whoop. And she's still with us. I was afraid she was going to fall out. Alright, so that was a good flight. I enjoyed that. Nice getting back in the jet. Again, I spent a ton of time on this jet, and then I don't use it because of, I had to get the money to be able to use the jet. So I had to use the turboprop for a little bit. So, but happy to be back in the jet. Enjoyed using it here. Kind of prefer flying the jet, but that's just me. But let's go ahead and we'll unload our passengers. Unload. So I think this is the way. Okay, so there's $75,000 we just made on that one. So made some good money on that. Let's look at the. So we actually didn't make any profit really. As we progress in the game, we will be making more profit. So here's my chart again. So again, we're this blue one here. So if we bought fuel at Tajum, which remember we did fill up at Tajum, we would need $4,300 per person. So let me quickly do the calc on that. And so I gifted myself that fuel, and that was just to start the series out. Was it 4382 times 39? So that's yep, that's right, 170,000. This was actually so this is about 170,000. So of course we would have made any money on that, but we're going to be buying fuel from airport, and then eventually we're going to get some deliveries from refinery. And so if we look at this one here, if we buy fuel from airport, that's $809. 809 times 39. That's $31,500. So we made $40,000 in profit if we bought it from airport. So we don't even need to buy fuel from refinery to make good profit on this. We just need to buy the fuel from airport, and see we made $40,000 on that run. So that is a good bit of profit on that. Now, I was talking about this before. We are going to end up doing some non-rev stuff. So non-rev is non-revenue. So for example, at some point, we should probably be able to make it up to the Arctic. Let me look. So, perfectly. Yeah, so right here, we start with 14,000 and change. I think it's about 14.5 a side. So we total out at 29,015 pounds of fuel. Currently, we have 19, what was that, 19,204, something like that. 19,240 pounds. Yeah, 19,240 pounds we have left. So we only burned about less than 10,000 pounds. And so we have more than enough fuel to go back up to the Arctic. And so that is very important. We need, we don't want to be using up and burning up all that fuel in the Arctic. So what I need to do at some point is I need to transfer some money from some fuel from refinery to here. It sounds like we made a lot of money. We made good money. The issue is I need to still buy this base. That's 220,000. We need some money for that. I need to be able to buy fuel and put it in my benches. Currently, when I started the series, I put about 100,000 liters into the Arctic base. I just cheated that money in to get that up there. And so the issue with that is that's going to run out. It sounds like a lot, 109 liters. That's about 218,000 pounds of fuel. So we'll eat through that pretty quickly. And I really don't want to burn through that. I want to save that up there because now it's pretty cake easy for me to transfer fuel from here to here, or even from airport there. You saw how even from airport it's profitable to do that. If I burn up that base too much, that's going to be a problem. So let's quickly write down my numbers here. 9629. So a lot of this, I kind of enjoy this management element of it, trying to, work through this and make sure everything's going to be profitable. If I could actually get my pen, we'd be in great shape here. There it is. Okay, so let's write down our fuel here. So it was 9629 and 9620. All right, so I'm going to figure out exact costs on this run here. I know, exciting. So what do we have here? 9620. So that was, so we have 19,249. 19,249. 29,015 is what we started with, minus 19,249. That's 9,766 pounds used, 97.66. We'll divide that in half because it's a, well, actually, we'll divide it by 1.9. It's 1.9 pounds per liter. I have to fix it here. Let me see. All right, divide that by 1.9. That gives me, that's 5,140 liters. All right, and then we'll multiply that by whatever the cost at airport is. So the cost at airport for airport fuel is 466, say, times 4.66. That's 23,952. So it cost us 23,952. We made 70,000. So somewhere in the 40 range on that. 46 and change on that. So we made good money on that run. So we used 97.66 on fuel. So what that tells me is if we look here, now I want to keep this pretty realistic, so we don't really have any, like in real life, the south works fine. So in real life, what you want to do is you plan to go to your initial airport, and then you have to be able to travel to your alternate. So let's say there's too much weather. Let's say the weather's too low here, and I have to travel to my alternate. Let's say my alternate is Dremore. Now, in real life, your alternate would be far enough away. The weather's different. The weather's going to be the same, pretty close up. So let's say Dremore. And then I have to go an hour after. Well, of course, that's never going to work in game, so we're not going to keep it that realistic. But I used 9,766 pounds. If you look, we have that almost in each tank left. So I can still almost do a trip to the Arctic and back on the fuel I have. So I can make it back up to the Arctic, but I can't make it back with the fuel I have. And so the thought here is I need to get some more fuel, or actually, you know what? That's not too bad. When I load it up, I just won't fill it 100%. So now that I know how much fuel I'm using, so what I'm going to be doing is when I get down to the south, I'm going to fill the plane up to the gills before I go back up to the Arctic, because I want to ferry fuel up. I want to take the cheap fuel up there with me. So every time I leave the south, I want full fuel. And the reason is I want to go up there and I want to dump it in the bench. I want to dump as much fuel in the bench as I can. And when I leave the Arctic, I only want to leave with, let's say, if we're using 9,766 pounds, let's say we want about 50% of that. So let's say we want 12 or 13,000 pounds when we leave the Arctic. And so that's going to leave us so that I can fill up my tanks and essentially ferry the fuel up there. Now, I don't really stick it back in the bench, but what I'm doing is I'm just not buying any fuel in the Arctic. I'm bringing up enough fuel that I can use that fuel to come back. And then when I get back here, I want to be down to about reserves, fill up again, and then bring fuel up so that I'm never using this expensive fuel. That's how we're going to make a profit here, because it's just super unprofitable for me to try to buy fuel in the Arctic. But hope you guys enjoyed that. It was good to get back in the jet. I enjoyed that a lot, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.